CLAT is just round the corner, and I'm sure that at this point in time, all of you are taking mock tests. But are you scoring in 50s and 60s and bit worried about your prospect? Are you putting a lot of effort and despite that you are not able to improve your score? Then welcome. This video is meant for you. This is Siddharth Mehta. I am verbal expert and also critical reasoning nuggets mentor at Career Launcher. So let us begin. In today's video, what we will be doing is how we can improve our score from 60s to 90s in next 14 days. But before that, we will have a look at what a typical scorecard of someone scoring in 60s looks like. And then I will share with you my tips, my steps that can help you to improve your score from 60s to 90s. So let us begin. First and foremost, let us try to understand why a score of 90 is not that difficult in CLAT. Now, the CLAT paper does not have any sectional cutoff. So that is one very good point. See, suppose at this point in time, when 40 days are left for your exam, if you are hopelessly bad at any section, then what I will suggest is you focus less on that section. Focus more on the section that you can do well at. So because the exam does not have sectional cutoff, you have that advantage, you have that leeway. You can focus on two sections that you are good at. And even if you're decent at other sections and maybe weak at one section, you can get a score of 90. And another good thing is that the exam does not have any sectional time limit. So you can strategize your paper and how you will approach as per your strength and weakness. And the most important thing for CLAT is it is based on reading and reasoning skills. So if you can work on these two skills, you should do well in the exam. If you look at the entire CLAT paper, it is based on these two skills only. Most importantly, if you want to do well in any exams, you need to focus on your strengths. So play to your strengths. But before playing to your strengths, do you actually know what are your strengths? Identify them. Now, this is what a typical scorecard of someone scoring in 60s look like. So I'm not saying that this applies to each and every one. What I'm saying is that maybe 80% of the students who are scoring in 60s, this is what their scorecard looks like. If you look at it, in English, they will be scoring somewhere between 10 to 14 marks. In GK, 12 to 16 marks. In legal, they do relatively well as compared to the other section, maybe 17 to 20 marks. In critical reasoning, similar to English. If you look at English and critical reasoning, they both are, I mean, even the time that a typical students devote is around 15 to 20 minutes. Most of the time goes to the legal section. The sad part is that many students do not give QT that much time, and because they don't give time, so score is very less. Maybe a lot of students score 0 marks because they don't even attempt the section. They don't even have a look at it. So this is what a typical scorecard in 60s look like. But what are the observations? What are the inferences that we can draw from this? If you look at this, observation number one, there is no particular section that can qualify as your strength. Now, you can call a section as your strength if you are able to get 80% of the marks in that section and not taking more than 30 minutes time. So for example, for English section, which has 30 marks in total, if you are able to score say 23, 24 marks in say 25 to 30 minutes, then you can say, yes, this section is your strength. The problem is that the students who are scoring in 60s, they don't have any section as their strength. And that is why they are not able to push their score beyond a point. Observation number two, there are at least two sections that qualifies as weakness. Now, if you look, what is a weakness? According to me, if you are not able to score 45% or 50% of the marks in that section, then that section is your weakness. So for example, again, in the English section, if you're not able to score 14-15 marks, then I will say that that section is your weakness. So benchmark for weakness is around 45% for me. Benchmark for strength is around 80% of the marks in that particular section. So there are at least two sections that qualifies as weakness. And observation number three, I mean, the most of the times the problem is with the time management. This is not the ideal time management that you give 15 to 20 minutes to English and you do not give any time to QT and you devote a lot of time to legal. So either time management or accuracy or both can be problem for someone who is scoring in this range. Now, what to do? As I said, work on your strengths. Identify two subjects that you feel can help you to get a score of 50, that is combined score of 50 in the first 55 minutes of the test with 85 to 90% accuracy. Now those two can be any section. So for example, it can be legal and critical reasoning, or legal or logical reasoning. So legal and logical reasoning would have combined a score of say around 40 plus 30, 70 marks, around 70 marks. So in these 70 marks, your aim should be to get at least 50, and that too not taking more than 50 to 55 minutes of the paper. Now, if you can do that, you can understand that in remaining 3 sections, you can get 40 marks. That sounds a bit easy. I'm not teaching any rocket science here. What I'm saying is just break down the paper to your strengths, your weakness, and the sections that you are decent at, and then focus on them. Now, when you study daily, 80% of your time should go to these 2 sections that you have identified as your that you will make these 2 sections as your strength. 80% of the time should go to these 2 sections. So for example, if you are devoting 10 hours daily for your CLAT prep, around 8 hours should go to one of these 2 sections. And how will you prepare these 2 sections? First 4 to 5 days, focus on concepts. Even if, say, for example, you find that you know what is taught, what is contract and legal, but what I will suggest is go back and revisit all the concepts once more. And then next 10 days, focus on solving as many questions as possible. Target should be solving 500 questions. That questions can be from your class sheet, from your books, from the past year CLAT paper, from the mock test, topic test, sectional test, anything. Next 10 days, solving as many questions as possible. Minimum 500 is the target. Whatever you do, do not forget to give 1 hour to newspaper reading, especially editorial. Why? Because as I told you, and you also know that CLAT paper is based on reading and reasoning skills. So you can't, you cannot compromise on that. So if you're studying for 10 hours daily, 8 hours goes to these 2 sections that you have identified, whichever sections that you have identified as the section that you will make your strength. 1 hour to newspaper reading, and remaining 1 hour you can give to any other section. That is first thing to do. The second thing is work on time management, because most of these students are poor in that. This according to me is a standard time management. Remember, you can follow any sequence, but stick to time management. That is more important. I mean, if you stick to time management, then sequence doesn't matter, isn't it? So firstly, English and critical reasoning, you need to give at least 25 minutes time to this section, but 25 to 30 minutes, not more than that. GK 15 minutes, legal not more than 35 minutes. You have to finish off this section in 35 minutes. Even if you're not able to finish, then switch to some other section. Otherwise, your entire paper can go can be spoiled. And QT 10 to 15 minutes. If you're not good at QT, work on it, because the topics like averages, percentages, and ratios, if you are good in these 3 topics, you should be able to get at least 5 to 7 marks in this section also. When you are studying on a daily basis, you need to have a stopwatch near you, and you need to keep track of how much time you are taking to solve the questions. So for example, if you have picked up legal and you are solving a class sheet that has 40 questions in it, what you should do is that you should divide this 40 question class sheet into 4 tests of 10 questions each. Keep a stopwatch near you and tell it to yourself that next 8 minutes you will solve the first 10 questions, and then you analyze that. Then the next 8 minutes you will solve the next 10 questions. So that way you are keeping track of the time even when you are practicing or in your daily studies also. That will be very helpful in the actual exam. Please keep track of this. The third thing is that keep track of mistakes. So we have learned about identifying these strengths and working on them. We have learned about managing time in our day-to-day studies. And third thing is managing mistakes or tracking mistakes that you are committing in your day-to-day studies. Analyze your mistakes. Make note of 2 things. What type of questions are you getting wrong? Because I'm sure that slowly, once you keep track of these things, you will realize that you are committing same type of mistake. You can work on such questions. And what type of questions are taking a lot of time? So you can try to work on them and reduce time, or if such question comes in the exam, you can skip and move to the next question. See, you cannot solve all the entire 150 questions in CLAT. If you are able to solve 125, 130 questions with say 80% accuracy, your job is done, right? So keep track of these 2 things. And most importantly, don't give up. Still, you have time. Don't give up. Focus on your strengths, focus on managing time, and focus on keeping track of your accuracy. If you do these three things, then I'm 100% sure you will get a score of 90 in next 14 days. That is it from my side. Thank you very much.